This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the Executive Chairman and CEO of Hannan Metals, Mr. Michael Hudson, the very busy Mr. Michael Hudson. I know you've been on the road for Southern Cross Gold, your soon-to-be multi-billion-dollar gold baby, and here we are with Hannan now, working in the early stages to get towards that. So congrats on the work with Southern Cross. I understand you've been presenting, and I know that's got to be exciting, but good to have you on to chat Hannan here for a bit, Mike.
Yeah, no, it's great to be back, Gerardo. We've just been across at Diggers and Dealers, the premier gold event, at least in Australia and one in the world, a premier mining conference. Of course, it was focused on gold at the moment. And let's talk gold in Peru and an emerging massive discovery.
Let's talk about it. You had some news, and in the headline reads, Hannan demonstrates systematic expansion of Previsto gold footprint. And I don't know how many people scan all the way to the bottom of news releases, but I really enjoyed Figure 4 on this news release, which, you know, compares Cripple Creek to Previsto. And it's almost eerie, the dimensions and the outlines of the mineralization that's been found to date. And it's almost, I mean, in a great way, a look-alike, right? Is kind of what it seems to my amateur eye. So when I started reading the release, and you know, you're talking new high-grade gold assay results, and you're extending the mineralization 30 meters eastward, 400 meters south, and 230 meters southeast, and you know you have this sea of gold with these pockets of very high-grade gold. It's got to be exciting to see what's emerging there, Mike.
It just continues to get bigger as we start to unravel this discovery. Context, and we speak about this all the time. You know, we made the discovery a number of years ago, just in terms of just a couple of boulders. It took a while to get in there to get the social license correct, and then we've been in there for really only a year or less, where we've gone in and done a hell of a lot of work with much more detailed soil sampling, IP, and prospecting. And that's where we're really at today, is the prospecting to outline this system. And we're still in the guts of it, is a nice Australian way to say. We just keep on making it larger and larger. And this is a 4 or 5 by 4 or 5 kilometer system that we've got this anomalism at the larger scale, and we're really focused on a smaller part of it at the moment, maybe a kilometer by a few hundred meters, where we found these very high grades. And as you recall, this was not part of this release, that we've trenched 69 meters at 2.5 grams, and seen 25 meters at around 5 grams or something like that in that one zone, and we've extended that high grade within this sea of low grade that this release represented, and then we just wanted to start demonstrating the scale of the system versus some global analogs. So this is an alkaline gold system. So they're quartz poor, potassic rich host rocks that have very specific characteristics, and simply put, other than the detailed characteristics, they form very high grade systems over very large areas, but the very large areas are generally what we call this sea of gold. So that's what Cripple Creek was. It started as very high grade underground mines, in the 1890s, and then today it's still operating as a lower grade heap leach, as the higher grades were depleted over the last 130 or 40 years. So that's what we're seeing here, and as you pointed out, the footprint, the scale of the system, obviously our discovery is less than a year old in detail, so we're starting to just unravel it, but it is a similar scale to what Cripple Creek is, in terms of the whole intrusive complex and the anomalism of gold over a broad area. So it will continue to get bigger, there's no doubt about that. Our next challenge is to find the very high grades again, and the continuity of them. And another high-grade pocket would be most exciting now.
It's been a phenomenal process to watch from initial discovery once you had the social license to where we are today. The amount of work that's been done and the amount of discovery that's been made has been absolutely mind-blowing to me in such a short amount of time. Well, the $1 million question, right, is how is drilling going technically at Belen, right? We last time you and I spoke, you were wrapping up, I believe, the last hole, or the third hole, I should say, at Vista Alegre, and you had moved the rig over to Ricardo Herrera, which, of course, is a porphyry system, a copper-gold porphyry system. How are things coming along on that front? Because I couldn't be more excited about the next stage of, figuring out the puzzle, right? And which is, chasing a system and getting into those, potentially economic grades of mineralization that we're all hoping for.
Balen, where we're drilling, is 22 kilometers, more or less, southwest of Previsto that we've just talked about. And we've got one rig there. We finished the 3 holes at Vista Alegre. Final assays are now awaited before we put those results out. And as we've said, as you said, the rig was moving last time we spoke. Well, it's moved and drilling at Ricardo Herrera and well down this first hole. The first target was an epithermal gold target at Vista Alegre that we're waiting on the results. The second target is the Ricardo Herrera, which is a porphyry target. And so the holes by nature are going to be a lot longer there, as we're in a much bigger, lower grade system by nature of it being a porphyry versus a high grade or a structurally controlled higher grade system that defines typically in general an epithermal to a porphyry style. So we're pretty excited. We're putting holes in. We're 4 holes in now within 50 kilometers of never being drilled or anything else in the whole of the Andes. So these are brand new systems that we're seeing for the first time. They've been there for 12 to 18 million years, and this is the first time humanity's ever had a sneak peek at them, and it's all very exciting. We're just putting a couple of holes, 3 or 4 holes into each one of the 3 targets at Balen. There's also Sortilegio, which remains to be tested in this current program. We'll be drilling all this year, and we just topped up our treasury, of course, with a warrant conversion that almost saw 100% of those warrants converted to bring in another $2.25 million. So we're well funded. We're drilling. We're making lots of massive discoveries separately, and achieving on what we've been trying to do for a number of years here in unraveling these new frontiers in the Andes.
We chatted a bit off air, and I think it's worth noting, and I'll just ask you the question I know an answer to already, but we're going to be able to drill year round for many, many years. Is that accurate?
That's right. It depends exactly where we are, but at the moment, in terms of access, it's relatively simple at Balen, and we've got nice big accesses very close to roads, so there's nothing stopping us here in terms of the weather. So as long as we've got that easy and good access that we do have today, we'll be drilling year round, and we're not stopping this year.
Excellent. Last but not least, how is the permitting coming along at Previsto?
So the next stage was to, now that we've made this discovery and we need to start getting holes into it, and we've started to understand it enough absolutely where to place holes. And, this is a big system with higher grades, so we'll target the higher grades. Remembering there's also porphyry copper in over nearly a kilometre long. That's part of this system too. So we can drill both copper and gold targets at Previsto. We get lost in the scale of this discovery. It's a multi-commodity target. So we just finished the work for the DIA, the Declaration Impacto Ambiental, which is the EIA, basically, an environmental impact assessment that you must do in Peru to get these drill programs in place. There's been a dozen people up there over the last few months collecting water, soil, air, community work to put into a comprehensive document for the permitting, and that work has now been completed. So we're writing it all up, and we'll be ready to make the application, I believe, as we've always guided around in October this year. So next month, August, September, October, 2 months, I should say. The year's getting on top of us, isn't it? So advancing well.
Look, I was at that copper discovery. There's, blue alien looking rocks sticking out all over the place. And when I say all over the place, I mean, vertically and horizontally. I mean, I'm glad that you touched on the copper aspect of the story, because I think it's really easy to look at Previsto and get rightfully so, caught up in the fact that there's the potential for tens of millions of gold ounces, but there's also the potential, a very real potential for, billions of pounds of copper to go with it, right?
Yeah, that's the footprint at surface is something like 750 meters, where we just channel down these creeks, and we're seeing 1 to 200 meters at 0.1 to 0.2 copper in these creeks that you talked about. You can see all the oxide copper exposed over hundreds of meters, and of course that's leached, very leached in this tropical environment. So we need to get holes into that and see what the primary mineralization is, and if there's any supergene enrichment. So that's sitting there as a target by itself, and that was the first discovery that was reported last year. And the gold is really, absolutely has only been found this year. So it's slightly older and slightly forgotten. So well re-stressed again. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mike. Looking forward to those assays. Looking forward to having you back on here soon. Thank you for your time. Anything to add to that?
All good, onwards and upwards for the discoveries, frontier discoveries in the back arc of one of the most prolific mineralized belts in the world, being the Andes.
Exciting times. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thanks, mate.
Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.